The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. This is James from Cave Dweller Music. I have some guests with us today. This is Brian and Kyle from the band Shadow Legion. They're a fantastic new band. I guess you could call them a supergroup. I certainly have been. They have members from a number of fantastic bands currently and formerly. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for having us, James.
Yeah, thank you.
Anytime. So I just always disclose this stuff. I have a bit of a personal stake here. I did do the PR for the album, and I'm going to say this in an unbiased way. It is fantastic. Absolutely love what you guys have done. It's very unique. So thank you for putting out something that actually piques people's interest in a different way.
Hey, thank you. That's hard to do, of course. Metal's been around for a long time, and there's a lot of different styles. We're just doing our thing, and it's organically coming out this way. So we're happy to provide something unique and different for the metal masses.
Definitely. Obviously, it's not going to appeal to everyone, but you're going to get some people that are really going to connect to it. And that's that's what's most important, I guess, those diehard fans.
Yeah, absolutely. All you can ask for is everybody give it a chance. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine. That's cool. That's how music should be approached, with an open mind. And we've got a variety of things going on that are very different. And it's cohesive. I think you have to listen to the entire body of work to really to get what we're doing, because we are doing a lot within an album. I think you'll agree.
Yeah, definitely. You've covered a lot of ground across a lot of different genres and styles, but I will agree with you completely. It is cohesive. It never feels sort of disjointed or forced, which I love about it.
Yeah, it's because it comes from an organic place. It's not contrived. We're not trying to prove anything, do anything. We're just writing music. It's just flowing through us creatively, and the combination of the guys involved is really the magic. Work with Kyle. Me and Kyle are like amazing songwriting partners here. He can take the arrangements, the musical arrangements. He just dwells on it for a week, comes back with an amazing arrangement of vocals and melody lines and aggression in the right places, and so much emotion and feeling coming through, with a really unique, stylizing. He's right here, but he has an aggressive voice and some clean vocals as well, but in a unique way. His clean voice is very unique. Like, it sounds like nobody I've heard. So it's very cool. And the most important thing is it fits the arrangement. It fits the music of Shadow Legion just like a glove. It's perfect. Definitely.
The clean vocals are really what drew me in. I mean, all of it's great, but Brian's definitely correct that you have a very unusual clean voice. And again, it won't be for everyone, but I personally love it. It kind of reminds me, the closest thing I can think to compare it to is maybe early Arab Eltor, the clean vocals from them that they had for a while.
Thank you.
No problem.
It's my first time doing any kind of clean vocals. It's honestly more difficult, I think, than doing the harsh screams or the growls, but it's been a fun challenge, and I've really liked what I've been able to pull out of myself. Basically, something I didn't know I was capable of. So that's been a fun experiment in all of this.
Who did you sort of draw inspiration from for that? Did you draw it from anyone in particular, or was it kind of cobbled together from a lot of different artists you listen to?
I mean, as far as the clean influences go, I was really listening to a lot of Dio and obviously Bruce Dickinson, sort of the penultimate clean vocalist, just to sort of get their idea, their style, the way they write. I drew a lot from them, and that was really my two major influences as far as the clean vocals go.
Yeah, a couple good influences there.
Yeah, classics.
Yes.
It can't really go wrong. I meant to do this earlier on, but do you want to just tell people sort of what you both do in the band, and then who isn't here tonight that we don't have with us?
Okay, so Brian Malone, rhythm lead guitars.
Kyle Healy, I'm the vocalist.
Who's not here. Dan Venturino is our bass player. He is he's a key element. He's the one who he brought Kyle, when we were starting to jam. Sorry, I'll get a little origin and I'll carry on.
Yeah.
I had moved back from Tampa, Florida. I was down there for a couple decades, and I moved back home to Pittsburgh. And Dan and I have been friends forever. Dan's like, "Hey, we should jam." And I was taking a break for a while, and I said, "Yeah, that's actually interesting. It sounds good. We'll jam." And he had kind of planted a seed, like, yeah, I was thinking about maybe something with some sort of clean vocals. And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting because anything I do is going to be fast and have blast beats all over the place." I'm like, blast beats and clean vocals, that'd be pretty interesting. And we started working on some arrangements and stuff. And Dan and I want to introduce Kyle to the situation. And so it's Dan Venturito, the bass player. On the album, we had Alex Cohen. At the time, he was session. He's in New York. He's an amazing drummer. The guy writes books. He's like insane technical drummer who loves metal, and he can play fast. Obviously, he can do what needs done. And we were thinking, all right, so we have this drummer who can do this, and we'll fly him in. We'll do some shows as we can, maybe hit some festivals and such. But not with the limitations of everybody's schedule, we weren't thinking we would just be doing a few shows a year. And also Eric Hurstman, who is currently in Gigan, he was in the band, and he did some leads on the album, which are great. And as we were jamming together, hanging out, we kind of figured out he has a Gigan album due, and all the ensuing touring that's going on with that, we had come to the decision he's going to, with the logistical impossibilities, he's going to focus on Gigan. We're working in a local guy here who's turned out great, a fantastic musician. Announcement coming soon on that. And Dan again found another great member. I always say miraculously because we're in Pittsburgh. When I left Pittsburgh before I moved to Tampa, there was like no musicians here. So I was thinking, what's the chance of finding a drummer locally who can pull this off? And Dan did. Matt Hoyer, he's our permanent drummer henceforth. He's a member of the band. So there we go. We're local. We have all local members, so that gives us the ability to play many, many more shows. We look forward to that and to playing many festivals as well.
Awesome. Great answer. Covered all the bases. So obviously between you have a ton of years of experience, and you've been in some really big name bands. I mean, just to go through some of the previous bands you guys have been in, Diabolic, Phyrron, Hate Eternal, all huge names. And then obviously you had the member who's in Gigan and Malignancy as well. So really cool to see so many people coming together that have been in so many big bands to make something that's so different to everything else they've done before.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It's like, even though there's a list of bands there, there's influences, but we don't sound like anything like that. Having done many years and extensive work with Diabolic, I have a style, of course, and the style may come through the song style, but I think I've never written anything as good as what I'm doing now. This is absolutely the best I've ever. This is the best musical project I've ever been a part of. Musically, personnel wise, these are the greatest guys, total pros. Excuse me. And the important things, everybody's feeling every note of the music. I can't wait. We are booking shows. We're starting to book shows now. We have announcements coming soon on that. And I just can't wait to take this live. It's going to be ferocious. It's like, as good as the music is and the production and how good it sounds and heavy on the album, this music's meant to be, absorbed live and, ripping faces off and all that fun stuff.
Awesome. I have a question in that aspect, because you obviously cover like quite a different range of sounds and styles. What sort of bands are you looking to like play sets with? Is it going to be more extreme metal or like clean vocal heavy metal stuff, or a mix of both? Or
I think it depends on the package. I've been part of touring packages that were very eccentric as far as every band was different. Electric Wizard, Diabolic, Macabre, and Enslaved. And that was obviously an experiment to see if all genres would come out. And it was awesome. It was great. And it was obviously great to see all those bands play live on tour. Whatever would fit, I would think that we could play with a thrash unit, a power metal unit, extreme death and black metal. I'm okay with all of it because I like most everything. What do you think, Kyle?
I think that's one of the advantages to sort of our unique sound is we have a lot of options in who we can play with, who would want to play with us. Maybe it's a black metal group, and they're like, "Hey, we really like your harsh vocals. Why don't you play a show with us?" And we can say, "Sure." Or maybe it is more operatic power metal group, and they're like, "Hey, we really like your clean vocals. Hop on a show with us," and we can say yes to that. So it's just nice to have like that. Again, that's one of our favorite things about this project is the openness to experimentation and creativity. We can mesh and blend with all different genres and in a way make ourselves more accessible to everybody.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I feel that the quality of the music and the professionalism and the I know how we sound live because I rehearse here, so I can't wait for other people to see that. I think we have the ability to win over a lot of fans from all the genres listed because we cover it in a good way, in a different way, and it's hard to explain. And of course, we'll see. Time will tell. But I've heard many people who said, "Yeah, I'm an extreme metal guy. I don't like clean vocals, but I like what you're doing. It works." So it's going to be exciting to see. And I agree with Kyle that we can play with a lot of different bands and complement the package of the show, and also the fans can enjoy what we do.
The band that comes to mind when you say all this stuff is do you remember that band Woods of Ypres?
Yeah.
They had a very similar sort of thing where they had the black metal vocals and then the clean, and they managed to play both worlds as well, and it seemed to really work for them. So hopefully you guys had the same level of success, which would be awesome.
That would definitely be great for sure.
Excellent.
So personally, the two of you, what are your musical influences? Like going back when you started playing music, what kind of inspired you to get into the sort of underground extreme metal stuff?
I remember for me, it was, I saw, it was a Monomarth, Goat Horde, Lazarus AD, and Skeleton Witch. And Skeleton Witch I had never heard of before. This was probably, I want to say 2010, 2011-ish. And I remember Skeleton Witch came out and they didn't introduce themselves. They just started playing. And I was like, oh yeah, these guys are fast. They're heavy. And they finished their first song, and I was like, okay, here's the part where they introduce themselves so I can know who they are. And their singer Chance just goes, "This song is about Satan." And I threw my hands up and walked away. And my buddy was like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I'm going to the merch booth to buy everything these guys own." And like, that's sort of like all I want. I just want people to hear it and be like, oh, like regardless, just be like, this is interesting. I want, that's kind of like all I want to bring to the table is leave people feeling that, this is something unique and they can enjoy at least some aspect of it.
Yeah, for me, I go back a little further. Obviously, the classics: Sabbath, Priest, Maiden. That's not into the extreme to answer your question, but great '70s stuff, the Jethro Tull, all that good stuff. But
Right.
As far as the extreme stuff, Sepultura, Deicide Legion got me good. Death back in the day. I'm a huge King Diamond, Merciful Fate fan. They're extreme in their own way. And then I was just listening to Rigor Mortis, and that was just amazing guitar work. That dude's flying as fast as can be.
Yep.
So that stuff's way back. You asked about the introduction, and then there's so many bands along the way that are just fucking great. Too many to list. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm just trying to think back. What did I listen to first back then? And that's pretty much it.
I was gonna say, I think like the first band that really got me into metal, because I was listening to classic rock in high school, and I completely skipped, the punk phase. I feel like a lot of people go through like the punk transition into heavy metal, but I found The Sword, and I saw them in the basement of the First Unitarian Church in Philly. That was my
Nice.
first real metal concert, and like people were passing around blunts and 40s, and I was like, I want to do this forever.
They were a really good live band. I saw them back in I want to say it was like 2010 or 11 or something like that. But they had a good live. It was like them with Orange Goblin, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I first saw The Sword. It was that Age of Winters tour, like when they were like at first started coming out, and Yeah, Orange Goblin too. They're another great band. I saw them at my first. They were at my first Maryland Death Fest back in, I want to say it was 2009, and they were the whole
Oh,
reason I
nice.
went. I was like, I'm never gonna get a chance to see them.
They're pretty loud live. It's awesome. It goes heavy.
Oh yeah,
There was that phase back then where there were like all these awesome like high energy bands in that sort of style coming out. It was like the Sword, Orange Goblin. There was also Red Fang. Mastodon was really big at the time too. It was like that massive sort of stoner sludge sort of movement. It was great.
yeah. Now it's more of you definitely see black metal's the big sort of genre at the time. I feel.
It's blowing up for sure.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, depends who you talk to. I'm not a fan of it personally, but modern tech death is a huge following of that stuff. I can't stand it. Like, I like the older stuff. Like, I like early Decapitated, Necrophagus, that type of tech death. But, like Archspire and, I don't know, Fallujah and all that stuff that people love nowadays, that's massive. But I just find it way too overproduced and kind of boring.
Yeah, everybody's approaches things differently. For a lot of things for me are mood driven. Like, if you're at the gym, I'll listen to Chrissy and that'll get me going. And other times I'll be listening to 70s rock. And a lot of it depends on mood.
Definitely. 100%. My vinyl collection is such a weird mix of like you said, so much 70s rock and funk, and then like extreme metal on the other side.
But that's the great thing about that is, when you're pulling from all these influences, you get to make some really unique stuff. Especially when you, I don't know, have you listened to the band Elder at all?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed them over the years, but their guitarist Nick had put out this experimental project during COVID called Delving that is just it's all instrumental. There's no vocals, and it's just really interesting. And that's some of the stuff I find myself listening to. Like, I'm on a long car ride by myself, and it's just nice to pull from different influences. I'll throw on some funk sometimes when I'm in the car.
Excellent. Love that funk. It's an
Oh yeah,
underappreciated genre in my opinion.
but my dad, when I was growing up, he would always play Steely Dan. So like I had a really early appreciation for like jazz and funk and stuff with really groovy bass lines.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
nice.
find I speak to this often. It's like the bass players in the 70s were just fantastic. And for
Yes.
some reason, in the early 80s, except for Steve Harris, um, they went to the Michael Anthony and Judas Priest. Even Ian Hill was like in the 70s, he's ripping, but he just went back. I don't know if the producers kind of took over and said just lay back on it or what, but it certainly changed.
The other big change I always notice when I listen to music from the 60s versus 70s is the shift from like electric organ to synth.
Hmm.
That massively changed the vibe of the songs, but both great, just very different.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You're talking like Uriah Heep style.
Yes. Yeah, or like even like the Animals, if you like listen back to that, or like some of the Doors stuff, like the really
Oh,
Oh yeah.
like
waiting
carries the
for the
tune of the
sun,
song.
waiting
Yeah,
for the sun with the Moog. So heavy.
yeah, exactly. So local scene wise, my co-host asked me to ask you these two questions. Firstly, what are some venues that you guys like to head up to either see bands or play at in your local area?
Um, it's a little hard right now. We had a lot of venues change ownership, a lot closed down over COVID. We lost institutions like Howlers and the Rex Theater. But we have some new venues that popped up that we're excited to look into possibly playing at. You've got the Roxy Theater has been a really popular spot right now for shows. Uh, the Preserving team at Preserving Underground, their concert venue is pretty popular. You have Spirit Hall is another local one that usually draws fairly large crowds, and then you have other places like Thunderbird. Thunderbird Cafe is another one.
Yeah, I saw Sepultura play there. That's a nice venue.
Yeah, a couple
Nice.
buddies of mine have a small little do-it-yourself venue that they started up called the Shred Shed. We were hoping to play a show with there here in the near future, but we have to see.
Yeah, though Pittsburgh is actually like when I left Pittsburgh, the scene was very hurting. There was not much here, hence my move to Tampa, Florida, when I was 21. And what it's a great scene now. There's a lot of metalheads here. There's a lot of appreciation for it. The big bands coming through sell out, and it's that's always been the case. But the smaller scene wasn't there so much, but it's here now, so we're excited about that. and Pittsburgh is one city. We are booking out of town shows. We're going to play the vicinity. Got some shows going through here, and then we're going to start hitting the big markets. And then we'll see what opportunities come. Beyond that, as far as any touring. Obviously festivals.
Mhm.
But yeah, Pittsburgh's a cool place. I'm glad to be back home, and there's a pretty decent scene here. It's going to be exciting to see all the heads come out.
Awesome. Well, the second question you had actually ties into this as well. So, what are some local bands from Pittsburgh that people wouldn't have heard of that we should be checking out?
I'm actually wearing a shirt right now for a band known as Vicious Blade. People may have heard of them. Their vocalist Clarissa is also in another band called Castrator. But they're thrashy, they're loud, they're fast, they're awesome. You should definitely be checking out Vicious Blade if you're not already. You mentioned an affinity for 70s, and we talked a little about Uriah Heep. You might want to look into Sweat.
Okay.
They've got synth keys, more old school rock and roll, if that's sort of what you're looking for.
And
Just
old,
like Sweat as in SWEAT.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, sweet. I'm writing all this down. So
an old school stalwart of metal, of old school death metal, Sathanos. They're a staple. It's been here forever.
okay,
Great band.
There's a artist I actually just only discovered a couple days ago. It's a one person group, Genital Shame. I don't know a whole lot about them, but I really like what they're doing.
There's Genital Shame.
Genital Shame, yeah,
it's a great name.
it is.
I just found
It's
them.
all-
Yeah,
Nothing
all
else
these...
is on this, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's Blackman. It's an interesting album art as well. It's like really interesting album art. It's like a person looking in the mirror doing their hair. It's like a black metal logo.
Yeah.
Love it. It's like, do you remember that guy that had all the controversy? Was it Fortunate Son or something? All of his album covers were him on vacation, just a guy standing in front of like scenery, and there's a black metal logo over it, and people got really mad about it.
No, I can't say, but I kind of like that. I like that tongue-in-cheek sort of humor with the black metal scene.
Yeah, it does take itself a little seriously sometimes, which sometimes I appreciate, and sometimes I'm like, come on, like, have a sense of humor. It's
I mean, if Abath can laugh at himself, I think we can laugh at black metal a little bit. That's all right. I was in a black metal band for 5 years, and I really enjoyed playing it. I like the genre a lot. But don't take yourself too seriously. Have fun with it still. And that's really, I think, what we wanted to do when we started doing this. We just wanted to have fun. We wanted to do what we want. We didn't want to get really boxed in.
Yep.
that's good. I mean, the reasons for doing something. It's different for each person, but I think if you're making something because you enjoy making it and you find enjoyment in it, I think that's a really big part of its success.
Definitely, yeah. Business is business. You got to take care of it. But when it comes to the creative force of this band, we take it seriously, but we love it. We love every note. We love, I'm excited about every riff, every arrangement, every vocal line, every drum fill. It's like, excited doesn't begin to describe where I'm at with this. And, I was in a band for a long time, and the grind was happening, and I know what it feels like when that excitement dissipates. And I don't anticipate that at all with this group of guys and this fun project. It's not a fun project. This is a band. This fun musical force that we have going on here. It's awesome.
That's great, and that's the type of thing that's going to carry across to live performances. That chemistry.
100%. Yeah, this is going to be. I keep saying the word ferocious just comes to mind. I can't wait to hit the stage with this, and such an outpouring of energy from us, and then it comes back to the fans, and they give it back, and you give it back, and it's just this exponential ball of energy flying around, and there's just nothing like it.
Fantastic. If you ever hit up the West Coast, let me know, because I will be at the show.
Yeah, we definitely plan on it, and we're gonna support the album. We plan on getting out and getting to work and hitting every market. This is just the beginning.
Fantastic. Well, that's a good question. I mean, is there more planned album wise? Do you have other stuff in the works, or is it just on pause while you promote this one right now?
Well, we just released this. That being said, there's already a stack of arrangements that we're going to start working on.
Awesome.
We're in live performance mode right now, and we're we're focusing on that. But music never stops flowing. We're recording arrangements. We have a lot of ideas. Yes, there's absolutely going to be second, third, plan on fourth, fifth, 10th album. I just don't see this slowing down.
Especially with us finding our local lineup now, we definitely want to see what the other guys bring to the table as well as in terms of writing.
Definitely. There's a good chemistry. So it's going to be, it's going to be very interesting.
Love to hear it. I'm going to ask you another Pittsburgh question. This one's a little different. What food should we get if we visit your city? Like, what do you recommend? What's a local dish? What's a local spot?
So I'm not a big foodie. I kind of just eat to sustain energy.
Okay.
Though there are some great wings here. I think Kyle's more of a foodie. He can answer that a little bit better to me.
Oh man, if it's one thing my wife and I like to do, it's go out and eat. Everybody will tell you got to go to Permanis. Don't go to Permanis. I might get some hate for that, but there's better places for you to go. And you got Carson Street Deli if you want a good, really, really good sandwich, and they got a nice beer selection as well.
Right.
Piper's Pub is another great place. English food, pub style food. So if you like fish and chips, that's your place. Totopo is probably my favorite if you're looking for more of a Mexican cuisine. Probably go there at least once a month.
What's your favorite pizza place?
Oh, geez, favorite pizza.
There's a place called Caliente's. It's pretty good.
Caliente's good.
Yeah, they got good wings too. Good pizza and wings there.
Does Pittsburgh have its own pizza style, or is it use one of the other cities?
Nah,
I don't think so.
we do have this one place that people seem to really enjoy called Beato's, and they do the cold cheese on top of the pizza, which I don't mess with that.
Yeah, it sounds too weird for me.
Reminds me of Lunchables.
So you said beer. What are some good local beers?
Go ahead.
Let's see.
So there's so many since I've gone and come back, there's like so many breweries have kicked up, and this craft beer thing is just awesome. But
I'm drawn to sours, so they aren't quite as popular here in Pittsburgh yet. But you got Abjuration Brewery is usually where I like to go get my sour fix, as well as Inner Groove. Inner Groove has a tap room in Verona, and they just opened one in Allentown, which is like 10 minutes from my house, which is great. McKee's Rocks is where Abjuration is. Let's see, there's always Strange Roots is another good one. That's in Milldale, which is right near another local venue, so that's a good place to hit up before a show at Mr. Small's Theater.
I'm absolutely ridiculously spoiled in San Diego. It's like, I think San Diego County has like 230 something breweries just in the county limits.
How many have you hit so far?
Like probably like 20, I would say, honestly. It's just
you
find the ones you like. You find the ones you like, and you kind of just end up going back there.
See, I'm at the point where I'm trying to find new ones to go to. My wife's parents, they every weekend they'll go try a new brewery. I'm like, oh, that sounds really interesting and fun.
It is a good hobby. My wife unfortunately doesn't drink too much beer, so it's like with her, she's not really into that so much. But there's a lot of good stuff down here.
Yeah, my wife's fortunate. She does like to drink occasionally. I'm sober almost 10 years now, so I'm a good DD, good designated driver. Thanks. Oh, it's not a big deal. It's just my thing. But thankfully, these breweries I referenced are starting to brew really tasty non-alcoholic beers. So I think I went 6 years without the taste of a beer, and then this Heineken come out, and I was like, whoa, this tastes like a Heineken. I think because I'm so far removed, it might not taste like a Heineken, but for me, it's just great. So I'm having a good time with it.
Yeah, one of my close friends drinks the non-alcoholic stuff, and he says you can't really tell the difference. He loves it.
Yeah, especially with the IPA stuff, because I kind of missed out on all that when I quit drinking. Like all of a sudden, there's a surge of breweries. I'm like, I missed out on all this good beer because I love beer. And I'm so thankful. I'm just grateful. Life's great, man.
That's awesome. So we'll move slightly away from food for a second. Back to music for a little bit. What are you guys listening to at the moment? Like what's catching your ear?
I'm still digging deep. I listened to like old stuff I haven't listened to forever. Like I just listened to Anthrax, Among the Living, classic.
Nice.
The Rigor Mortis I mentioned was great. Lots of Rainbow lately. I've been doing the deep dive on Rainbow. Fantastic. Nice. with all the vocalists, all three of them were just great. The first three I'm referencing. You know,
I've been falling back into a thrash trend. I find myself putting on like Toxic Holocaust Radio on
Nice.
Spotify and listening to a lot of Nuclear Assault, Hell Ripper, Flotsam and Jetsam shows up every once in a while. Um, but yeah, been listening to a lot of the older stuff lately. Fall back on the classics. Iron Maiden, Judas
Nice.
Priest. Yeah.
Did you happen to see the Dio documentary?
No, I haven't seen that.
I did. We went to the movie theater and saw that. It was
Me too.
fantastic.
It's so good. It's honestly
Yeah.
one of the best biopics I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I agree.
I never got to see him live, so I'll have to watch that.
If you have any of the streaming services, I think it's on Showtime. That's the only one I know that it's on for sure.
Okay.
But definitely worth the watch. They really they really painted a really I guess broad picture of who he was as a person, inside the music and outside the music, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought it was completely well done and fantastic. And yeah, I'm sure there was a few tears shed in the cinema that day. I know that.
Yeah, that end, especially at the ending there. Wow.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife didn't actually know who he was going into it, and she left saying like, "Wow, he's like seems like a really cool person." I was like, "Yeah, see, even people who don't know his music appreciate him after seeing that." On the music questions, if you could play live with any band, like support any band, or open with any band, or headline with any bands, who would you like to play with?
Well, I have a little nostalgia because I toured with Amon Amarth and Behemoth and Cannibal Corpse. So those were great times. Destroyer 666 from Australia. I'm smiling because they're just legendary activities on that tour. It was just ridiculous. So that's nostalgia talking. Boy, there's so many good bands. What do you think, Kyle?
I mean, we've always talked about our goal is to try and get on like the festival circuits, which is honestly what I'd like seeing new bands. My favorite thing is going to a festival and leaving with 5 new bands that I've just discovered, and so honestly, that's why I'd like to play with people I've never heard of before. But we joked about like the one band that could really get us out on a tour if we had the opportunity. It's got to be Maiden.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course, that would be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, there's levels of wish list, and that's the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maiden, Priest, of course. It was fun. Also, I had done the tour with Dimmu Borgir, and I actually think that would be a good fit. That would actually be a good fit with Shadow Legion. So, listen, one never knows. We will see. Of course, can't not mention Morbid Angel. Just saw them a couple months ago. They're fantastic, and also I've toured with them too. So there's a lot of things like that, and there's a lot of new bands too that would be really interesting.
I'd love to play with Spirit World, I think.
Yeah,
I just got into them. I don't know if you checked out that Death Western album of theirs.
That's oh yeah. I haven't actually listened to it. My friend played it for me. It's the one with the cowboy album cover, right?
Yeah, that's it.
No, I haven't actually listened to it yet. I've been meaning to. It's on my list.
That's a fun one. Check that out.
I heard the previous one, but not that one. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out. That album is fantastic. Like the demonic cowboy thing. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's like Red Dead Redemption, excuse me.
Yeah, that's super cool. What did you think of the most recent Maiden album? Not the live one, the actual album.
Senjutsu.
Yeah.
So when I answer this question, people say stuff like that. I'm just so grateful that these guys are still pumping out music, because I found even with prior albums, at first you're like, wow, this is okay. And then you listen to it again. It's like, yeah, wow, shit, I love this too. This is great. These guys are awesome. So even if it takes a few listens at first, I mean, there's some amazing songs on that album. So I think it was well done. I read an article, and this had to be fucking tough for them. Like, they recorded that during COVID and then put it in a vault and couldn't talk about it, couldn't play nothing. They were just waiting for COVID to get over. And as a guy is like, we have all this music, we got to get it out there. You want everybody to enjoy it as soon as possible. That had to that'd be so difficult to do that, and they're so professional. That they're able to handle that. So to answer your question, I love the album. I think it's great, and I'm super grateful these guys are still kicking it. You have any opinion on it?
Yeah, I liked it too. It was one of those ones that took me a couple listens, but
Mhm.
a month after release, it's I'm listening to it the whole way through, singing along to
Yeah,
every song.
yeah. They're just gods.
It's a grower.
Yeah,
I like the album. My only complaint, and this isn't like it's just because I love his voice so much. I just felt like his voice, Bruce's voice, should have been a little higher in the mix. That's the only complaint I really have. I just thought it was a little bit compared to the previous albums too low.
well, that's a compliment to Bruce, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he's one of the greatest vocalists of all time, and I love hearing his voice.
Yeah, he can sing the phone book.
Definitely. Yeah, there's a few of those dudes, like old school dudes, like Dio as well, is just phenomenal. That guy's voice was unreal.
Yeah, it was great. We saw Bruce. He did the spoken word tour, and we saw it in Pittsburgh, and we liked it so much. We went to Cleveland, my wife and I, to see it again, and we realized that you can ask him questions. And my wife requested he sing "Tears of the Dragon." It was just he sang a bit of it. She's bawling. Oh, yeah. It was so cool, man. It was so cool. Uh, just phenomenal.
That's awesome. I didn't know he did that. So he just went around like just him on stage and he
Yeah,
read
just
things and sang things and talked to the audience
he
and stuff.
he just talked to the audience, told his story, had a few pictures behind him, and at the end, inevitably, there was a question and answer, and inevitably somebody asked him to sing something,
Ah,
and we saw he sang a bit of "Writing on the Wall," and then the second
nice.
time it was yeah, "Tears of the Dragon."
That's awesome. That'd be very cool. So I only have a couple more questions for you. The next one is a little bit of a put you on the spot type thing. It's going to be if you were stuck on a desert island with nothing but a solar powered Discman and 3 CDs to listen to on repeat until you got rescued, what would you want those to be?
You have to give us a minute here to think.
Totally
Yeah,
fine. Take as much time as you need.
man, it's like at this moment. Also, what are you listening to, and then what do you have to have forever? Good question.
Yeah,
You
it's
mentioned
tough.
Rainbow.
Oh yeah, I'd say Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, the first one.
See, I'm gonna have to do oh man, why am I blanking on the name here? Rising. Probably
Rainbow
Rising.
Rising, great.
Uh
That's one
Nice.
each. I'm gonna do Somewhere in Time, Iron Maiden, for my second.
I'm probably gonna have to go with Elder, their Lore album.
Nice.
Um that opening track, Compendium, like I don't know how you can listen to that and not just get completely stoked.
My third is easy. It's my all-time favorite album, Merciful Fate, Don't Break the Oath.
Nice. Great album.
I'm gonna have to go with Slayer's Show No Mercy album. That was the first metal album I actually bought for myself.
We'll have to,
All good choices. Great stuff. That's a good selection.
good question.
Thank you. Yeah, and I ask everyone that comes on the show that because it's just interesting to see people's thought process. And then it's crazy. Some people like just in 3 seconds just go boom, boom, boom. It's like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, it's easy. This is all I listen to. So, yeah, some people take some more time to think about it. So before we wrap up, I've got one more for you. This is a little bit of a two-parter. It's about, I guess, the direction of the music industry and sort of the modern trends that we're seeing in it. What do you think about AI in music? Do you think it's a threat to artists, or do you think people are overreacting?
Um, I don't think much about it because I don't pay too much attention to the scene. I do my thing and stay a little reclusive. Maybe
Mhm.
Kyle has a more interesting opinion on that.
I'm not necessarily opposed to it. As I mean, you have one man, one woman projects, who, you know, they obviously can't play every instrument all at once. We even when we were first demoing our music, we engineered drum tracks for it.
Mhm.
So as far as from a building standpoint, I don't see any reason not to use it. I actually, when I was in college, I had to interview an illustrator, Drew Struzan. I don't know if you are familiar with his work. He did the Back to the Future posters. He did all the Star Wars movie posters.
Oh, cool.
Um, I asked him about using it was an ethics class, using the ethics of using a source photography for an illustration. And he I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, "Is an uneducated fool who doesn't utilize every tool available to them to make their craft better. Do I expect Harrison Ford to sit for me for an entire 6 hours while I draw a picture of him? No, I need a photograph to do so. And so in that way, I feel like there's nothing wrong with using AI.
Yeah, I have no judgment how anybody creates their art. Absolutely. I just want to clarify one thing about Kyle referenced the drum tracks is there's people say when we're writing we have beats in mind to go with the riff, and I'm only bringing this up because I have an old ass school drum machine and I'm literally blasting manually with my fingers at 250 beats per minute trying to get this captured so a real drummer can take it to the level just to really get the ideas out of our head. And so yeah, that's hilarious. It wasn't programmed drums in the writing process. I'm literally trying to manually do this shit with my fingers. I should switch to some AI system just to say, hey, okay, put a triplet blast speed at 300 beats per minute right here. It'd be so much fucking easier. I just got to figure it out, I suppose.
Oh no, you were pretty good with those drums.
Yeah, so I get the one finger blast going. Hilarious.
Well, I mean, I definitely agree with you. So I think AI as a tool is fantastic, but I think when AI replaces the actual person making the music, then it becomes an issue.
Yeah, I want to speak to that. Like, I see something about backing tracks live and things. I don't care. When bands do, you guys do what you got to do to put on the best show you can. Our band is very organic and natural. We're not going to have backing tracks. We don't plan on it. We never know what the future will bring. But we don't have a need for it. We can pull this off live naturally. And there's nothing against bands that don't do that. This is just the path we're going.
That's a very fair answer. What I was more meaning is there's actually Sony and Google are now making a label that's going to buy the voice rights from artists and then digitally create songs using their voice without an artist even involved in the creative process. Which I think that's where I think it gets really murky about what's art and what isn't. Because if a human isn't even involved in making that, is it actually art?
Yeah, that bothers me. I don't want to hear, a brand new Tupac album or a brand new Dio album.
Right. And that's where it's heading.
Wow. Yeah, that's a little strange.
They made like a new Frank Sinatra song that was like layered with hip hop, just using the AI to generate from his voice because they had the rights to it. Like, stuff like that's kind of it's great area in my opinion.
I'll have to do some more reading about that. That's where it gets a little.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Deus Ex Machina.
I did it AI way, I suppose.
Yeah,
that was good. All right,
excellent. And then the other question, the second part, I guess, is how do you guys like to consume music? Are you a streamer or do you like physical media or what do you prefer?
I like to stream, but I also have a modest record collection. It's not huge, a couple shelves. But if I really like something, I like to try and support the artist as best I can.
Yeah, same here. I stream. I have a ton of CDs around here somewhere packed away. It's just convenient. But same answer as Kyle. I want to hear the new Immolation. I'm going to go to the Immolation website and support them directly. That's the way you support bands these days. Streams are great. We want everybody to hear and enjoy it. But hey, if somebody wants to really, really support, we have a store on the website, and everybody's welcome to go there. We totally appreciate it, and we act the same way. Like I said, it's like I can go and just Google Immolation T-shirt, and there's 10 million places you can get one. But I make sure I go to the website to make sure that they're getting the most bang for that buck.
Great.
So it creates opportunities. It helps them survive so they can create more music, so they can tour more, so we can see them, so we can enjoy them more. So it's very important. The support factor is very important for all bands.
100% agree. And the other thing is, people don't think about this. I was talking to a label owner today, and he raised this point: is if a label signs a band and that label doesn't sell copies of their album, they're not going to re-sign them in the future. So buying directly from the label that a band is on is a really good way to actually help their career, because that way they're going to get re-signed, they're going to do another deal for the next album, and those labels are going to want to keep working with those artists.
Absolutely. And the resurgence of vinyl is just phenomenal. It's great. I mean, that's what we grew up on, and it went away for a while. Now the vinyl's just back. People got record players and everything. It's awesome. So yeah, buy from the record labels, buy from the bands direct, support them, buy their merch. It just keeps them in business. If you like a band, you want to keep hearing music, man, Yeah, do it, everybody.
Definitely.
And we do it. We're fans too. We're in a band, but we're fans of metal. We're lifers, man. So um, I don't even want to tally up how much money we spent on our metal lifestyle. So it's great though. It's great.
Yeah, I always notice that metal is like kind of a genre that the fans and musician crossover is more than most genres you see. There's so many people you talk to who love metal but are also making metal.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great thing.
Okay, well, that kind of wraps it up. I have one last question for you. If people want to buy your CD, buy merchandise, follow you on social media, what are the best places to do all of that?
We have a Facebook and Instagram page. Our website is the best place to get news, and our merch store is on there. That is www.shadowlegionmusic.com. Shadowlegionmusic.com. And then, of course, like I said, Facebook, message us, ask questions, whatever anybody wants.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you both taking the time. It was great, great chatting with you.
Thanks for having us, James.
Yeah, it was great talking with you.
Yeah, you too. And for everyone listening at home, thanks for tuning in. Come back next week with another guest for you.